0 to 1 Preface. The central idea of 0 to 1 is that real progress happens when we create something entirely new, not when we replicate what already exists. Peter Thiel begins by stating that every important moment in business happens only once. The next great tech leader won't create another Microsoft, Google, or Facebook, because copying past successes means you're not innovating. True innovation is about going from 0 to 1. From nothing to something entirely new. In contrast, going from 1 to N is just about scaling or improving what already exists. He warns that relying on existing business models and so-called best practices can lead to stagnation, not progress. Despite their profits today, companies that don't take the hard path of innovation may ultimately fail. Even with all the resources in place, future success depends on the courage to try new paths, not just follow safe ones. Thiel argues that technology is the miracle that separates humans from other species. It's our ability to invent and improve, not just adapt. While animals build based on instinct, humans create new tools and rewrite the blueprint of the world through innovation. The book draws from Thiel's own experience founding PayPal and Palantir, and investing in startups like Facebook and SpaceX. But he emphasizes that there is no fixed formula for innovation or entrepreneurial success, because each breakthrough is unique. Instead, he advocates thinking from first principles, a concept borrowed from physics, where you break ideas down to their fundamentals and reason from the ground up. The book itself emerged from a class Thiel taught at Stanford in 2012. His student, Blake Masters, took detailed notes, which later became the foundation of this book. Thiel's mission was to inspire students to look beyond their academic training and imagine new futures, not just in Silicon Valley or universities, but anywhere. 0 to 1, Chapter 1. The Challenge of the Future. Peter Thiel begins the first chapter with a striking question he often asks during interviews. What important truth do very few people agree with you on? While it might sound simple, this question is incredibly hard to answer. That's because most of the knowledge we're taught is widely accepted, and going against popular belief requires both deep thinking and personal courage. According to Thiel, intelligence is common, but courage, the willingness to say something unpopular, is far more rare. Most people give predictable answers to this question, such as, our education system is broken, or there is no God. But these aren't truly contrarian. They're either widely accepted or just one side of a common debate. A good answer challenges the status quo. For example, most people believe X, but the truth is the opposite of X. So why does Thiel begin a book about startups and innovation with such a philosophical question? Because how we think about truth, especially unpopular truth, is directly tied to how we imagine and build the future. The future isn't just something that hasn't happened yet, it's a time when the world is very different from today. If nothing changes in the next 100 years, then the future is 100 years away. But if everything changes dramatically in just the next 10 years, the future is almost here. When we think about the future, we hope for progress. But Thiel explains that not all progress is the same. There are two kinds, horizontal and vertical. Horizontal progress means copying what already works. It's going from one to many, like building more typewriters or expanding a known idea to new locations. Vertical progress is something entirely different. It's about creating something new. It's going from 0 to 1, like inventing the word processor instead of duplicating the typewriter. On a global level, we often use the word globalization to describe horizontal progress. For example, countries like China are working to replicate the systems and infrastructure that already exist in the West, building cities, installing railways, and increasing industrial capacity. It's efficient, and it brings results, but it's not innovation. Vertical progress, on the other hand, we call it technology. It means inventing better ways of doing things, methods and tools that didn't exist before. Thiel argues that most people believe the future will be shaped by globalization, but he believes the opposite is true. The future depends on technology. Without new technology, simply spreading existing methods worldwide could have devastating consequences. For instance, if China or India were to fully adopt Western lifestyles using current tools and energy sources, the result could be an environmental disaster. Doubling energy output without cleaner solutions would only double pollution. That's why technology, not just expansion, is what truly drives sustainable progress. It's important to understand that technological advancement is not automatic. Human civilization spent thousands of years stuck in stagnant, zero-sum systems, where success meant taking from others. Then came the Industrial Revolution, and from around 1760 to 1970, the world saw an extraordinary run of innovation, from steam engines to space travel. But something changed after that. Since the 1970s, outside of computers and communication, most areas have seen little breakthrough. We still live in cities with aging infrastructure. Cars look sleeker, but they aren't that different from decades ago. Even energy, transportation, and medicine have progressed slowly. Back in the 1960s, people imagined a future full of space vacations, flying cars, and limitless energy. But it didn't happen, not because they lacked vision, but because they wrongly assumed that progress would happen on its own. The truth is, progress needs to be built. It requires imagination, and more importantly, execution. Thiel then turns to where this progress comes from. He believes that most innovation today comes not from big corporations or solo inventors, but from startups. Big companies are often too slow, filled with bureaucracy, and too afraid of risk. Lone individuals might be brilliant, but they can't build industries by themselves. Startups hit the sweet spot. They are small, focused teams with bold ideas and the freedom to act quickly. A startup, as Thiel defines it, is simply the largest group of people you can convince of a plan to build a different future. Its greatest asset isn't size or speed, but the ability to think differently. A startup exists to challenge assumptions and to rethink how the world works. Thiel ends the chapter by explaining that this book isn't a manual or a set of rules. It's an exercise in rethinking everything from scratch. Because if we want to go from 0 to 1 to create the future, we need to learn how to question everything we've taken for granted.